Viewers, it's Abhijit Iyer-Mitra time at PGurus channel, and as always, you can expect fireworks. Abhijit, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Joy Ma Durga, thank you for having me here.
Joy Ma Durga to you also, Abhijit. I am just trying to understand, and I have been trying to understand for a long time now, what is happening in Pakistan. The recent killing of a mullah, and then Pakistanis passing a resolution to recall their ambassador to France, when in fact there was no ambassador in France. Do you think the lawmakers are so dumb that they don't even know that they don't have a lawmaker presence in France? And to understand what is going on, I mean, Saudi Arabia stopped funding them. I don't think Biden is going to jump in and start funding or restart funding. Only China is funding, and with China, they are already they are completely overweight by the yoke of their loans that they have taken for CPEC. So what is going on really? Can you make some sense of what's going on in Pakistan?
Sure. So starting with the French resolution, what we should remember is, what do you think about a country who has lost its traditional allies that now criticize it openly, UAE and Saudi Arabia, that seems isolated almost everywhere and wants to make new enemies in France and pick a fight with France over literally nothing of their national interest? Obviously, the first word that comes to mind is stupid. Second, you know, what is funny about the resolution they passed is, I don't expect the members of the National Assembly to know if they had an ambassador to France or not. But I expect the foreign minister who moved the resolution to at least know if he has a fellow deputed in France or not. Remember, this isn't stupidity. This is the nature of the system. The foreign minister isn't the foreign minister. The prime minister isn't the prime minister. The defense minister isn't the defense minister. All of that is the army chief and the corps commanders. Okay, the finance minister is one corps commander. The defense minister is one corps commander. The foreign minister is the ISI commander, and so on and so forth. These people are just puppets who don't realize the consequences of their actions, because they can pass 100 resolutions. It isn't worth the paper that is written on. Okay? This is what comes with having zero actual responsibility, position without responsibility, position without consequence. This is what it is a symptom of. Sorry, you were asking something.
Yes, what I was asking you was that when you were talking about resolution, the guy who is currently the foreign minister is apparently having ambitions of becoming the prime minister should the military see fit that Imran be replaced. What are your thoughts on that?
See, the military also probably wants Imran replaced, but Imran is smart enough to not play to their rule book. Traditionally, what was happening was that if the army decide to get rid of the prime minister, be it Benazir Bhutto, be it Gilani, be it Nawaz Sharif, would then get combative and they would try to take on the army. Imran isn't doing that. Okay, when they send a whole protest of millions of people to protest against France, but we all know technically the protest is against him, he cowers down and doubles down over in front of the army chief. So, you know, it's a bit like, you know, the dog that bites your kid and you want to get rid of it. You beat it, but it's not getting aggressive with you. In fact, it's cowering down and trying to lick your face. How do you get rid of that dog? Okay, so when the dog inspector comes to decide when this is to be labeled a dangerous dog, the dog doubles down and starts licking the master's face who is hitting it. And so the inspector will think it is the owner who is the dangerous fellow who needs to be put down and be sentenced to social service or something like that, community service, rather than the poor little dog. So this has been the game that Imran Khan has played. Okay, now how are you going to get rid of him in those cases? So he is not allowing the army to play the intra-party divide and rule that they traditionally used to. You remember they've played this game very well. They turned Farooq Laghari, who was Benazir Bhutto's kind of mentor in a sense, against Benazir Bhutto herself. Ultimately, it was Laghari who dismissed Benazir Bhutto's government, right? So they have this way of turning people even within parties against them. Mushahid Hussain, they turned him against Nawaz Sharif. They kept him in jail for 3-4 years and finally turned him against Nawaz Sharif and all of that. They have their methods, but they are not working with Imran Khan. So Imran Khan is the most dangerous thing you can have. He is both genuinely dumb, but he's also expertly manipulative. When it comes to manipulation, he is superb at it. So you actually can't get the organs of power. He's not going to give them the constitutional crisis that they want to use as a figment to get rid of him. He's also not going to give them the intra-party crisis that they want to have an internal coup against him.
Two questions that come up. One is, where is Nawaz Sharif these days? And I'll ask you the second question after that.
In London. Look, they're all, I mean, officially in London. He might also be in Dubai. They keep going between London and Dubai. Remember, Pakistan for the elite is their hellhole. It's like the absentee landlords. You remember they used to live in London or in Delhi or in Kolkata when Kolkata was the capital, schmoozing around, drinking and all of that. They just depended on the home turf, wherever it was, to provide them with the money so that they could lead their life of luxury. And for all of them, the entire military, industrial, feudal elite, their homes are in Dubai or in London. Pakistan is just the milch cow that keeps giving them milk to sustain their lifestyle. Right? But this brings us to the second question that you asked me as part of the first one, which is what will Biden do? Biden will do a lot for Pakistan. Never forget that. Trump wasn't going to indulge them anymore. Biden will. Because remember, the moment you get US troops out of Afghanistan, Pakistan's leverage on you ends. Biden will not get US troops out of Afghanistan. Therefore, Pakistan's leverage on you will continue. Also, remember, Biden owes a lot to American Muslims for getting him into power. So he's going to go quite soft on Turkey and quite soft on Pakistan. Okay, he might not do anything outright, but he certainly won't crack down on them either. And this is what will be passed off and justified in the DC think tank circle as great policy. Mind you, this is the same great policy that they've been pursuing for the last 50 years with complete support from the think tanks out there that has produced zero results so far. Okay, so when we get into good corporate management and all of that, you tell me, would a policy like this, would any CEO of a private company be allowed to take a 50-year-old failed policy and claim that it was a success and still survive as the CEO? No. But this is the kind of shit that will be perpetuated. And you look at his foreign policy team that is being sworn in, they are all in that sense coochie-cooing with the Islamist jihadist lobby. All right. They're either very, very dangerous people that have called for regime change and military intervention, or they are people who have justified. Remember his Jake Sullivan, his NSA nominee, is a man who said, basically, Al-Qaeda is with us. Imagine somebody saying that. The same Al-Qaeda that took 2 planes and crashed them into the Twin Towers is now with you and your ally in Syria, and you have absolutely no qualms about it. But let me also show you how you spin this around. Now, I am a ass licker / think tanker in DC who wants some kind of a job. I will say, see, this shows the dexterity of American policy. You stupid brown Indians, you know, after 50 years after we sent the 7th Fleet against you, you still keep complaining at every meeting, oh, you sent the 7th Fleet against us, or was it the 5th Fleet? I don't know. In 1971 against us, and you still can't get over it. But look at us. We're so dynamic and, you know, forward thinking and flexible in policy that we're able to take Al-Qaeda, which bombed New York on September 11, 2001, and 19 years down the line, they are our best buddies and allies today. You
Well,
see what you see where I'm going,
yes,
and you
yes.
will actually get all these quacks, shitheads, and terror apologists come on TV, put out ridiculous explanations like this, label anybody who disagrees with them as being the real Al Qaeda, even though they are in bed with the real Al Qaeda. You know, these were the same people that were saying ISIS was a Russian plant, ISIS was a Syrian government creation, Al Qaeda was a Syrian government creation and a Russian creation. All of that turned out to be wrong. The fellow that what's his name, Le Monsieur or something like that, who was the head of the White Helmets, another Al Qaeda front organization that almost won the Nobel Peace Prize, by the way. He committed suicide last year because he was about to be exposed as a complete front organization for Al Qaeda and ISIS as their propaganda wing. And he committed suicide because he knew the game was up. And these people are still defending him today. They're still claiming there is no evidence of it.
So you're now looking at the appointments coming down the line of Biden. Many people are saying this is just Obama 2.0. So do you think that the policies that Obama pursued will again be coming front and center? But I know one problem that Biden has is he has not been able to shake off his son Hunter Biden's dealings with China, with Ukraine and other things, even though he's saying now nobody's going to be near me and all that stuff. But the past is still past. I mean, he was a vice president at that time. He didn't stop anything from happening. What is your prognosis?
What have you seen come out of the Hunter Biden investigation? Nobody's talking about it. They refuse to talk about it even when it was. I mean, there is clear prima facie evidence of criminality out there, particularly on the part of Biden himself, not just Hunter Biden, but Joe Biden himself. Are you seeing anybody report about it? No, they won't. See, for them, their crimes are not crimes. Everybody else's crimes are crimes. Okay, so you will see nothing about it. And this is a standard pattern you will see with all Democrat presidents and a few Republican ones as well. They talk tough on China, but they don't do tough on China. Obama's Asian pivot, for example, actually took the frontline troops that were 800-900 kilometers away from China and pushed them back to 1,500 kilometers away from China. Yet the way it was spun was that this is a beginning of a new offensive against China. Okay, it was not. So they're very good at giving speeches. What did Obama won the Nobel Prize for giving a speech, mind you, nothing else. This is like that. These are the kind of people that will give themselves prizes for winning speeches. For them, a speech is a tough stand on China, but actions on China are not tough stands on China. Actions against China will be labeled as anti-trade and anti-progressive. Speeches against China will be applauded. So you will see a lot of tough speeches about China from Biden. You will see zero action against China from Biden. Militarily, economically, in anything.
And finally, some thoughts on UAE and some of the other Middle Eastern countries normalizing relations with Israel. Perhaps Saudi Arabia might also do it in the next few weeks. What are your thoughts on that? Would that be something that Trump might mention in his memoirs?
Understand what Trump has finally done. John Kerry is on record saying that there was no peace possible between the Arabs and Israel bypassing Palestine. How wrong he was. And this is a man celebrated as a thought leader and the darling of think tanks, which also shows you how dumb the DC think tanks were. Right? You have Trump, who has made peace between Israel and Saudi Arabia. Israel, well, informally between Israel and Saudi Arabia, between Bahrain and Israel, and between UAE and Israel. That is more than Jimmy Carter or Bill Clinton put together.
Correct.
Okay. Yet he will never be applauded for it. Why? Because he did it in a way that all the DC think tanks told you was impossible. That every single newspaper column told you was impossible. He proved them all to be blithering idiots. See, this is why they hate Trump. Trump has shown you that foreign policy can be carried out without so-called foreign policy experts. This is why people hate Arnab Goswami in India, because he's proven that journalists are are unnecessary to run a news channel. You just need stringers. You don't need so-called journalists to run a news channel, and you can be extremely profitable. Okay, much more profitable than the so-called news channels, one of which that you've written about is crumbling. God knows how it sustains itself. But anyway, we won't get into that. This is how things have always happened, that when you want to find common ground, you find a common enemy. They found Iran, and notice the diplomatic skill out here, that Trump managed to support Iran's proxies in Syria, the Syrian president and Hezbollah, who technically he should have been against, because Israel hates them like nobody's business. He managed to get them to all but win the Syrian civil war by disarming and not defending Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and at the same time screw Iran over. That is a very, very serious diplomatic achievement. It is one of the most sophisticated diplomatic maneuvers we have seen in the last 50 years, but nobody will ever write about it. Nobody will ever talk about it. Why? Because it splats egg on everybody's face in DC. Okay? All of DC's Middle East experts are coming out as prostitutes. I mean, forget prostitutes. Prostitutes at least have some integrity. These people are coming off looking like dumb idiots. What are you paying them for? But this is what is happening. So you understand why people hate him. Right? Now, what is going to happen here is India won't do anything in DC. India is the kind of government we love talking about ourselves, but the moment a truly powerful country says to us, Yabu, we get shit scared and we start moving back. The only reason we can talk about Canada and things interfering in India's internal affairs is because there won't be any consequences. After China did what it did you see a single statement condemning China by name? Nahin, na?
In fact, Mike Pompeo made mention of that.
Yeah. So this really shows you India's caliber. So India can't be counted on for anything. In India तो कायर हैं, चूड़ियाँ पहन के, साड़ी पहन के बैठ जाओ और आटा चक्की पीसो, ठीक है? What is going to happen now is you're seeing an Israeli UAE Saudi alliance, which is very, very powerful on money, which is going to start doing all the foreign policy maneuvering. Now Biden understands the power of the money that they wield and that they know how to push buttons in Washington. So he will not push them very hard. If he tries to get the Iran nuclear deal up again, they are going to go hammer and tongs at him and destroy him some way or the other. And you can trust the Mossad to be very effective at it, especially when the UAE and Saudi Arabia are willing to fund it. They will be doubly effective at it. You know, UAE is actually now funding a program for more effective monitoring of Palestinians in the West Bank. Can you beat that? The UAE is funding an Israeli program to monitor Palestinians better in the West Bank. Sorry, I'll just get to your question in a second. So with unlimited Saudi and UAE financing, what Israeli intelligence and Saudi schmoozing in DC can achieve is enormous. However, there is a very important operational question about the Iran nuclear deal which has never been answered, which was the decoupling of the nuclear program from the ballistic missile program. Ballistic missiles are not accurate. Okay, to be effective, they need either a chemical, biological has never been demonstrated, but even chemical is not really that good. You really need a nuclear warhead. Okay, so they said Iran will stop all nuclear program, but they will not stop the missile program. What was the missile program for? So I don't think he will be able to bring the Iran nuclear deal back on the table. Let's see. But in all of this, the person left out to high and dry, because we neither have the money nor the diplomatic skills nor the necessary intelligence, is India.
So my question to you was, what is the interest of UAE in funding something in the West Bank?
the interest of the UAE is in making up with Israel. They're like, we don't really give a shit. They're going to pay lip service. They've made it very clear that they're going to pursue peace with Israel like nobody's business. They're getting into a visa-free agreement with Israel. Can you beat that? An Arab country getting into a visa-free agreement with Israel, saying that engaging with Israel will allow us to solve genuine Palestinian grievances better. This is in fact true. Because, when you are friendly with a person, they are more likely to concede to your demands than they are to not. But see, the Palestinians have never wanted a solution. The Palestinian people may want a solution. The Palestinian leadership has made its money playing victim. They were the original intersectional LGBTQ victims. LGBTQ intersectionality, Pride Parade mein Randi Rona, this started with the Palestinians. They used to go from 5-star hotel lobby to 5-star hotel lobby, not even business class, first class to first class tickets from point to point, playing this victim card and making all their money living off Israeli handouts. If those problems get solved, the person to be hardest hit will be the families of the Palestinian leadership. So the PLO, Fatah's organization, will be the most deeply hurt. Okay, so they do not want peace. They are seeing their future income go up in flames. They are seeing the future of their children go up in flames. Because if peace happens, Fatah will be destroyed as an organization. Because Fatah is not a governance organization, it is a profit-making enterprise, a war profiteers.
So we've dealt with Israel and how it handles all these Palestinian intrusions and attempts at trying to cause problems inside Israel. We've done that in the past. Now I'm just wanting to ask you a slightly different question. We are a little bit into our program. Hopefully this is the last question, but I cannot finish this without asking you this question. Where in the world is Dawood? And is he going to now move his operations out of Dubai, assuming he's in Dubai?
He's not been in Dubai. He won't feel safe in Dubai anymore. You remember when Saudi Arabia 2 or 3 years back extradited someone, he knew his vacations in Dubai were up. He's living in Clifton in Karachi, and he's not going to be able to even go back to Dubai anymore. He may be able to go back, but he doesn't know if he's going to come back from Dubai. You never know when the Dubai folks will catch him and send him off on a flight to India. So he won't even risk going to Dubai anymore.
Are you saying that his complete operations in Dubai has been wound down and he's completely operating out of Clifton Road, Karachi?
No. Look, the Dubai has an interest in not winding down his operations. And this is where we have to understand. So, I think in an earlier program on the Delhi riots and the farmer protests, we were making this point that, IB claims it allowed the Delhi riots to happen. Complete bullshit, of course. They were incompetent and ineffective, but they claimed that they allowed the riots to happen so that a crime could happen, so that they could get convicted, and so that they could smoke out the perpetrators. No. There is an interest in having terror funding networks and Hawala networks in Dubai. Why? Because it allows you to do two things. One, it allows you to it allows you to monitor what is happening, which then feeds very, very critical intelligence back. And the second is because if you are a center for terror, money laundering and Hawala operations and all of that, those terrorists will not attack that particular organization, because you never kill the goose that lays golden eggs. Okay? So there is an interest in India not asking for it to be shut down as long as we're able to get operational intelligence from it. Now the Dubai folks and the Emiratis and the Saudis are able to get operational intelligence from it. We do not get operational intelligence from it because we're too dumb to get it. You can't even get operational intelligence. IB headquarters wasn't 3 kilometers away from where Shaheen Bagh was happening. And those bloody dolts weren't even able to get operational intelligence on what was happening 3 kilometers away. ये 3000 kilometers away जो operation चल रहा है, उसका क्या intelligence लेंगे भाई? उनकी औकात नहीं है. उनकी औकात तो है दिल्ली का ये नाला साफ करो, यही उनकी औकात है. उनके ऑफिस के बाहर नाला जाता है ना, सब आईबी डायरेक्टर को सब नाला साफ करने में लगा दो, उनकी औकात नहीं है दुबई से ऑपरेशनल इंटेलिजेंस लाने की.
Well, that's a stinging rebuke of the intelligence apparatus of India. I really hope that some of you who are watching this hangout do have a rejoinder via comments to our channel. And Abhijit, this was a most profound conversation we had today. And I think I would like our viewers to respond back via comments. And we need to really get things going. And I'm afraid that the conversations are like we are pointing out a lot of things that need to be done, but these are not something that can be done later. They have to be done now, and that is where the challenge is. Abhijit, as always, it's a pleasure to have you on our channel, and viewers, please do subscribe to our channel and please donate to PGurus. We are what we are because of you. We are trying to reach 250,000 subscriptions first and then on to 1,000,000 subscriptions, because at that level, then even if we come up with observations such as scathing as this one, people will not be able to ignore it. The Bidens of the world will not be able to ignore it. Abhijit, you have a voice in PGurus, and we'll make sure that your voice is not only heard but it's amplified. Thank you very much, and namaskar.
Har Har Mahadev. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, donate. And don't forget, you can feel free to comment about me, homo, fag, bald, ganja, fat, whatever, no problem. But please donate, share, and subscribe.
Oh, speaking of bald, there was a rumor that the longest running soap opera called The Bold and the Beautiful, they were going to have a sequel, and the sequel was named Bald and Beautiful. And evidently, they were going to reach out to you, Doron, and others. I don't know if they've reached out to you, but as soon as they do, please let us know.
Sure. I have 2 standing movie offers. I've kind of said no to both, but anyway.
Thank you very much, Abhijit. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.